in the heart of Rome, there was a whisper sharper than a blade and heavier than the marble of the Capitoline Hill, a word that even the emperors, those men who commanded the legions and decided the fate of nations, dared not utter a ritual so ancient, so obscure, so full of shadows that was said to predate Rome itself. His name was the Whisper, the devouring sigh, the ritual that was performed only when an empire faltered and no human law was sufficient anymore. But his mere name, whispered by mistake, had cost the lives of senators, generals, and priests. And the stories were still told in taverns and barracks at night, in hushed voices, never in broad daylight. At the heart of this empire, trembling with the terror of conspiracies, lived Aurelia Marcia, daughter of a respected tribune and priestess of the Temple of Vesta. Disciplined young woman, she knew every sacred text, every religious law, every official secret, but nothing had prepared her for the night when her life changed forever. One winter evening, an imperial messenger dragged him from his temple. Aurelia Marcia, by order of the emperor, you must follow us immediately. A Vestal virgin was never summoned in the night. Never. She climbed into the palanquin, escorted by guards, crossing an unsettling Rome, deserted alleyways, torches smothered by the fog, an almost supernatural silence, as if the city were holding its breath. The palanquin stopped in front of a place she had never set foot in before. The Domus Aurea, the former palace of Nero, closed for decades, a residence said to be haunted by the excesses and crimes of a cursed time. The guards opened an iron door, revealing a corridor that descended underground. You will enter alone, said one of them. We cannot go through that door. His voice trembled. The legionnaires trembled. Aurelia moved forward. The corridor smelled of burning incense and the dampness of catacombs. On the walls, faded frescoes depicted figures kneeling before a round altar. Their faces were deliberately erased, as if the painter himself had been afraid of leaving a trace. At the end, a circular room that I in the center, a circle of black stones. Around them were men in dark togas, their faces hidden under hoods. Among them, a man stood up, not a priest, not a senator, Emperor Domitian himself. Aurelia Marcia, he said, his deep voice echoing in the room, you have been chosen to witness a ritual whose name must never be spoken. What you will see here will never leave these walls. She felt her throat tighten. Even the emperor spoke in hushed tones, as if he feared that something invisible was listening to them. Domitian continued. The republic once nearly fell. The empire trembled. Each time, our ancestors carried out the susurrum to preserve Rome. Tonight, a conspiracy threatens my very life, and Rome demands an act that no one wants to perform, but from which no one can escape. The men stepped back, forming an opening in the circle. Aurelia felt an icy chill run through her bones. In the darkness, something moved, a silhouette, a chained captive, hooded, kneeling. Domitian explained. Here is Cassius Longinus, former senator, accused of treason against the state. He has invoked ancient law, the susurrum judgment, and a Vestal virgin is needed to carry it out. Aurelia had studied all the sacred texts, but never had she found that word. This ritual does not exist, she murmured, livid. It no longer exists. Domitian corrected, because those who remembered it are long dead voluntarily. He carried in his eyes a fear she never thought she would see in an emperor, a deep fear, visceral. Approach, he ordered. The torches flickered abruptly, a S if something was approaching, something she couldn't see. She inhaled, took a step, then another, and the truth of susurrum appeared to her, engraved on the stone slab before her. She finally understood and nearly collapsed. Aurelia remained motionless, her eyes wide. The symbol engraved on the ground was ancient, predating Rome, a sign associated with Etruscan rites, those that the early Romans had tried to erase, convinced that they opened the door to uncontrollable forces. You can't do that, she breathed. I can't, replied Domitian in a weary voice. But Rome can do it. Rome demands it. The priests in black robes lined up around the circle that a deep, guttural, ancient, almost inhuman chant rose up. Aurelia felt the walls vibrate. The black stone seemed to breathe. She wanted to back away, but Domitian's gaze rooted her to the ground. If you refuse, Vestal Virgin, you will be executed for high treason. Rome has no place for fear, he added in a whisper. I myself tried to abolish it, but some traditions never die. The captive Cassius Longinus was trembling, not like a man who fears death, but like a man who fears something far worse. Aurelia knelt against her will. What should I do? She murmured. Place your hand on the central stone, said the emperor, and recite the words I will tell you. She reached out her hand. The stone was icy, then burning hot, then icy again, as if it didn't know human temperature. Domitian began to recite, By the ancient pacts, by the breath of the foundations, by the name we will not speak. The room vibrated slightly to breath passed, like a wind, without any door being opened. The priests resumed singing in chorus, but their voices seemed filtered through another world. Aurelia felt something brush against the back of her neck, like a whisper to sigh. The whisper, the torches all flicker at once. The light disappeared, absorbed by an invisible force. Domitian stopped abruptly. Continue, a voice behind him ordered, but he wasn't a priest, nor a man Aurelia knew. It was a multiple voice, as if several people were speaking to the same breath. An ancient voice, ageless, formless. Aurelia felt her hand frozen to the stone. She could no longer remove it. A silhouette formed in the shadows. Not a body, not a mind. Something in between. The chained captive cried out, but the sound was swallowed by the air, as if the room forbade it. Domitian took a step back, terrified. For the first time, he was no longer emperor. Simply a man. The voice breathed. The pact must be honored. Aurelia suddenly understood. The Caesarum was not a ritual of punishment. It was a contract, an ancient oath made by the founders of Rome, a pact to protect the city in exchange for a tribute that was called judgment. The figure turned toward her. His breath passed through her skin like an icy hand. Vestal Virgin, you embody purity. You will decide. Aurelia felt her throat tighten. Decide what? Who Rome sacrifices tonight. Domitian retreated again. The captive raised his head, imploring, and Aurelia understood the absolute horror of the ritual. Not torture, not an execution, not a choice. She closed her eyes. The voice of the Caesarum, sweet as death, murmured, Choose, and Rome will live. Refuse, and Rome will fall. In front of her, an emperor, a senator, a Vestal Virgin, an empire hanging by a word. She took a deep breath. Then, in a strangely firm voice, she pronounced the name of the one who was to be offered. She opened her eyes, and the figure vanished in a breath, taking with it the life of the one it had designated. The torches reignited all at once. The priest collapsed to the ground. The stone circle was no longer breathing. Domitian gazed at her for a long time, with gratitude, with fear. You saved Rome, he said, and no one ever will utter that name. Then he added, because now you know why even emperors fear this ritual. Aurelia, trembling, left the room. But behind her, in the darkness of the corridor, a light breeze echoed. A whisper, as old as Rome. The Caesarum had not disappeared. He was just waiting for the next time Rome needed him.